Pre-trip inspections must be performed on trucks before they are used, every time they are used. It's the law. Each type or brand of truck has its own unique configuration, so the order in which components are inspected will differ from truck to truck. However, the items that need to be inspected will remain the same. As you approach the truck, make sure no noticeable damage has occurred since the last time the truck was used. Make sure you have the keys in hand as well. Check underneath the truck for any fluid leaks. Make sure the hood latch properly latches and is not damaged, and leave it unlatched for under the hood inspection. Check that headlights, marker lights, and turn signals are clean, clear, and functional. The windshield should not be cracked or damaged. Make sure that the exhaust system, heat shield, and grab bar are mounted and secure. The battery box should be tight and secure, cables attached with no bare wires showing or insulation missing. Check the remaining hood latch and open the hood. Inspect the serpentine belts for rips, cuts, fraying, or other damage. There should be no more than 3/4 of an inch of play from the center line of the belt. Make sure the water pump is securely mounted and the hoses are not damaged or leaking, and belt driven. The alternator should be securely mounted with no frayed wires, and belt driven. Check that the air compressor is mounted and secure, and the lines are not leaking or damaged, and gear driven. The power steering pump should be mounted and secure with no leaking or damaged hoses, and gear driven. The remaining fluids can now be checked. All fluids should be in safe operating range. Radiator fluid levels can be checked as well. Confirm the steering rod, knuckle, and gearbox are all secure with no missing or loose parts. Also, check the pitman arm, drag link, ball joint, and tie rod. Make sure the leaf springs are secure, not broken or shifted. U-bolts, shackles, and spring mounts are secure, not broken or missing. Shocks should be secure and not leaking. Check that the front brake system air lines are secure and not damaged or leaking. Electrical lines are secure with no exposed or frayed wires. The brake chamber and clamp should be mounted and secure with no cracks or damage. The push rod should be in place, not damaged, broken, or missing. The slack adjuster should have no more than an inch of play, and the cotter pin and key should be present. The adjusting nut and brake camshaft should be in place and not bent or broken. Linings should not be worn dangerously thin, or have any oils or solvent on them, or worn to less than 1/4 inch. Finally, the drum should not be cracked or damaged. Look over the tires for signs of uneven wear and foreign objects. Tire tread must be no less than 4/32 of tread. Front tires must also be evenly worn, free of foreign objects, and must not be recaps. Tire pressure should be checked with a gauge or rubber mallet, and valve stems should be metal with cap present. Check the rims for damage or dents, and all lug nuts should be present and tight. Make sure the hub oil seal shows no leaks and has the proper fluid level. The pull-up bar and mirrors should be mounted and secure. The door must open and close properly, and hinges and weather stripping should not be damaged. Steps should be secure and free of anything that could cause a slip. The fuel tank should be mounted and secure. Check that the straps have not shifted, cap is present and tight, and the hoses are not leaking. Scan the frame and cross members for cracks, broken welds, or missing parts. Check that all air tanks are securely mounted and air lines are not leaking or damaged. Drive shaft, U-joint, and differentials should be secure with no leaks or damage. As with the front, check the rear suspension system leaf springs and overload springs. They should be secure and not shifted, broken, or missing. Inspect the U-bolts, shackles, spring mounts, and bearing plates as well. As with the front, check the rear brake system air lines, electrical lines, brake chamber with clamp, slack adjuster, linings and drums. Scan the rear tires for uneven wear and foreign objects, and confirm they are the same profile. Tread measurements should be no less than 2/32 of tread, and pressure should be checked with a mallet or gauge. Valve stems should be metal and caps should be present. Rims should be checked for dents and illegal welds. They should be bud rims. If not, they should have a spacer. Also, make sure nothing is lodged between the rims. Lug nuts should be present and tight, and the axle seal should not be missing any nuts or bolts or leaking. At the rear of the truck, check that the mud flaps are mounted and secure with no missing parts and not rubbing the tires. The tailgate should be securely mounted with pins, latches, and chains. The license plate and all reflective markings should be clean, clear, and visible. Truck lights and warning lights should be clean, clear, and functional. The pintle hitch should be securely mounted with no loose or missing parts, with the spring key in place on the back. The safety latch properly latched with key. The trailer latch mounted and secure, not worn, cracked, or damaged. D-rings must be mounted securely to the trailer and not tangled or dragging on the ground. The electrical connection should be seated and locked, with no exposed or frayed wires, and not tangled or rubbing against the trailer. Blue service and red emergency air lines must be mounted and secure, not worn, damaged, or leaking, and not tangled or rubbing against the trailer. Check the trailer frame from front to back and cross members left to right for cracks, broken welds, or missing parts. Scan the platform for damage and make sure anything stowed here will stay here. The landing gear should be fully raised, with the crank handle stowed away. Header board must be secure and able to support the load being transported. Scan the decking for damage and make sure that anything here will remain here. Side running lights should be clean, clear, and functional, and reflective markings should cover at least 60% down the sides. The trailer should have 100% reflective tape across the back. The license plate should be clean and visible, and lights should be clean, clear, functional, and the proper color. Inspect the trailer axles for any damage. Leaf springs should be mounted and secure, not broken, missing, or shifted. U-bolts, U-clamps, shackles, hangers, and spring mounts should be checked as well. The brake chamber and clamp should be secured with no cracks or damage. The slack adjuster should have no more than 1 inch of play, and cotter pin and key should be present. Check that linings are not worn dangerously thin and have no oils or solvents on them. Brake drums should have no cracks or damage. Tires should be evenly worn with matching profiles and free of foreign objects. They can be recaps. Tread must be no less than 2/32. Metal valve stems with caps must be present. Check the tire pressure with a pressure gauge or rubber mallet. Rims should be free of illegal welds and not damaged or dented. They should be bud rims. If not, they should have a spacer. Also, make sure nothing is lodged between the rims. Lug nuts should be present and tight. Check the hub oil seal for missing nuts and bolts and any leaks from the inner or outer seals. Inside the cab, check the seat belt for rips or tears. It should latch and unlatch freely. The seat should be mounted and secured to the floor. Make sure the floor is free of debris that could roll under your feet and obstruct driving. There should be a reflective triangle kit and a properly rated and fully charged fire extinguisher and spare fuses and bulbs. Check mirrors for proper adjustment and make sure the windows are clean, clear, and free of obstructions. Wipers should not be worn or damaged. Scan the dashboard for debris that may roll off and obstruct driving. Start the truck and check that the ABS light comes on and goes off. Have a co-worker help check turn signals, high-low beams, and four-way flashers. Test the windshield wiper and washer for proper operation. Check all gauges: RPM, fuel, voltage, oil PSI, coolant temperature, and air pressure are all in safe operating range. Confirm the heater, blower, and defroster all properly work. Sound the air and electric horns. Then shut off the engine. Now perform the air brake check. Turn the key to the on position. Do not start the engine. Push in both knobs labeled parking brake. Check for air leaks by pressing down and holding the brake pedal in for 1 minute. There should be no more than 3 psi air loss for a single vehicle, and no more than 4 psi air loss for a combination vehicle. Check the alarm system by pumping the brake pedal up and down, and make sure the warning light and alarm come on before 60 psi. Next, make sure your spring brakes apply by pumping down the brake pedal. Spring brakes should apply between 20 and 40 psi. Make sure both knobs pop out. Start the truck and let the air pressure build up to 120 to 140 psi. To do a parking brake check, push in the red knob, leave the yellow knob out, and put the truck in drive. The truck should not move. For the trailer brake check, push in the yellow knob and leave the red knob out, and put the truck in drive. You should feel a tug at the back of the truck. To do a service brake check, push in both the red and yellow knobs and put the truck in drive. Drive forward at 5 miles an hour and press down on the brake pedal. The truck should stop and not pull to the left or right.